Kiera.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on this show. It's not a podcast. So the idea, I don't know like if they gave you much of a rundown about it or not, but the idea behind it was essentially like, we talk about like, we just wanted to pull some of the athletes from the different sports, and we can talk about the team, but also we wanted to get to know a little bit more about the people's lives and stuff. Last week or 2 weeks ago, we had Josh Sim, which went really well, honestly. So we're excited to have you on.
Yeah.
And how are you?
I'm really excited to be here. Really great.
So you turned 21 2 days ago?
Yeah, I did. Just turned 21.
That's crazy. I just like saw that online.
Yeah.
What did you guys do?
I actually had a game the day before my birthday, and we won 20-4. It was really exciting. I set 2 school records for most points in a game and most assists. So
Really? On your birthday? Or the day before?
Well, it was the
birthday?
day before. But that was like great because the girls all like decorated my locker and we
Wow.
celebrated. And then my friends threw me a surprise party, and then I like turned 21 at midnight, celebrated, and then on the day of I went to mass and we had a brunch, and then it was the household dodgeball tournament. So went, supported my household and played dodgeball. So it was like a really fun day.
Yeah, that's crazy. You scored that was your record. You said for points or assists?
It was like for the most points in a game and most assists in a game. So 2 different school records for that.
Oh, it was a school record. I thought you said personal.
No, it's a school record.
Wait, that's actually wild.
I know. It was a great day, great game.
But that's crazy though. Okay, so I know you're from New York, but which part of New York you're from?
I'm from outside Rochester, a town called Brockport. But yeah.
I think my family lives in like Buffalo area.
Okay, yeah. I'm
So
like
I
an
think-
hour from Buffalo.
Yeah, we've driven through Rochester before, but I wonder if we've been driven through Rockport.
Yeah. Probably if you drove from Buffalo to Rochester, you drove through it. It's like in between.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm just kind of curious. So, how did you first find out about this school in particular?
Yeah, so my story's a little different than most people. No one in my family ever came here, and like no one in my hometown even knew what it was. But growing up, my family went to this little Catholic camp, and it's like a week-long retreat. And then some of the other families who went there, their kids came to Franciscan. They're actually from Buffalo. And they were like teen staff, and they mentored me, and I actually had my conversion at camp there. And that was when I was 13, and when that first happened, they were all like, "You're coming to Franciscan," and I had no idea what it was. I was like, "No, I'm not. Like, what is that?" But then one of my close friends from that camp came here the year before me, so I kept hearing about it, this like really Catholic place. And I went to public school, and my faith was always something that like I kind of had to like hide, or like it wasn't really embraced or accepted. So I knew I wanted to go to Catholic school, and I went to a bunch of different like Catholic schools, but Franciscan was the only one that was like actually Catholic. And when I visited, I fell in love with it. And then the chance to play collegiate sports, I actually played soccer and lacrosse my first year here. So both of the like recruiting process from both of those coaches, they really convinced me to come here and like calmed all my fears. But yeah, everyone back home was like, "Where the heck in Ohio are you going?" Like, but I'm just so glad I came here. It was the best decision.
Wait, what? I'm curious. Because I've been to a small Catholic camp in New York too. I'm curious.
It's called Camp Koinonia Family Camp.
Okay, that sounds familiar though.
Yeah.
Maybe just because there's a household here called
Yeah,
Koinonia.
called Koinonia. Yeah, it's like in Italy Valley region.
Okay, I guess I don't know it, but
Yeah.
that's really interesting. So you said that it was at that camp. What did you mean by like conversion? Like, were you not Catholic before that?
I was baptized like cradle Catholic, but my faith was more of like a sidebar of my life, and my family went to mass, but like it wasn't like the forefront. But one of the summers, I had an encounter with the Holy Spirit in adoration, and I was like baptized in the Spirit. It was a crazy experience, but from that point on, like I just became obsessed with the faith and like so interested in it. I was never like catechized because I went to public school, and like I never did Sunday school or anything like that. So all of my knowledge, like I kind of taught myself. So I just like read all these books, and I listened to podcasts and just asked like the people older than me. And my faith journey was kind of up and down in high school until I like finally got here, and it became like steady because there was like a good environment to like cultivate it for me. But
you never actually like took any sort of faith classes at all?
no, like I did like religious ed, but actually my church did confirmation and communion at the same time. So I made my confirmation in 2nd grade.
That's weird.
So after that, I like never did it because I did like competitive Irish dance. So every Sunday I had dance, and I just didn't even go to. I didn't have time to go to Sunday school.
Yeah. Well, now you're kind of segueing because I was.
Yeah.
But wait, so you've never actually taken any classes of like theology until you came to Franciscan?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
That's really interesting. I find that really fascinating. You mentioned Irish dance, and that's the main like because I take it you've done a lot of different stuff.
Yeah, I did like every sport growing up.
If you had to like list it out, like what of all the things that you've done?
I actually played baseball for a while, like in a boys' league. We had like an all-girls team, and it was actually kind of awesome. We'd like beat the boys, and it'd be really fun. But baseball didn't last very long. I played soccer, club soccer, all growing up. I Irish danced, I skied, I played basketball, I played lacrosse.
That's great.
I think that's like all the main sports I did, but like I just was an athletic kid. I loved to like just play outside and do all that.
You've just always sort of had that nature. Like, did your parents ever have to like convince you to do it, or you're like, oh, I want to do that?
No, like my parents put me in sports when I was young, and I have 2 older sisters, and they did all the sports too. But Irish dance, I was the only one in my family to do it. It was actually one of our family friends brought me to like a Bring a Friend Day when I was 7, and then I loved it, and then I just kept going until I came to college. I did it. Yeah.
And that you would say Irish dance is like your main, like your main?
Yeah, that was like my main sport. We'd practice 6 times a week, and it was highly competitive. I was at the like highest level. I qualified for the World Championships a few times, so I got to compete overseas in Scotland, and I'd go to like the regionals, the nationals. So I got to travel all the time for dance, which was like so cool. I think my favorite place I went was Vancouver in British Columbia. We had like a North American championship there. That was like so cool.
So like for the people that don't know, I mean honestly I don't really understand Irish dance too much. Like what is competing, like what does that mean? Like how do you compete?
Yeah, so you all, like based on your age group, that depends which dances you do. It's kind of like split up for like the even ages and the odd ages. And then everyone dances to the same like tune. And it's like to the normal person you just hear Irish music, but like we could hear the difference in it. And you'd go on stage like 2 people at a time, and then there's like a panel of 5 judges, and then you dance against like 200 other girls, and then they grade you on like how high up you are on your toes, and you have to like always keep your arms straight at your side and like feet turned out, and it's also like how you look. So like everyone has like a custom solo dress, and like your hair is in a wig, and just like stage presence, but like a bunch of stuff goes into it, and we train like so much. It's like actually crazy. Like the whole world of Irish dance is like its own thing. But
I wonder if like Western New York is like known for being really good at Irish dance or something.
We are pretty good. I think like the Mid-Atlantic region as a whole is really good because got a lot of like Irish Americans.
That's gotta be what it is.
But yeah, our region is definitely very talented. So
that's really interesting. It is an interesting sport, especially because like. Well, is it considered a sport or?
Yeah, I'd say it's a sport for how much work you put into it.
You have to be like athletic to do it.
Yeah, it's like a lot different than normal dance because I think a lot of times normal dance is like expressive, and Irish dance is a lot like technique and like you have to get it perfect, and it's way more like drilling. And normal dance is like that too for sure, but they get to like actually show emotion. Like we don't really show any emotion. That's more of like an art, I feel like. But
oh, do you not show?
No, you just smile the whole time. Like you don't actually do anything with your face.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily like very like rhythmic based. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's
you know
like
what I mean?
So actually there's 2 different types of dancing. There's soft shoes and hard shoes, and the hard shoes are like tap shoes. So those are like all rhythm. And the soft shoes, that one's more like lyrical and like things like that. But yeah.
Well, we don't have to talk about Irish dance.
Yeah,
but I do find it really interesting though, especially like, considering how, like I didn't see like you're like low key, like pristine, like you're one of the top. Like, is your name known throughout the Irish dance world?
Yeah, when I was dancing, people knew who I was, but.
That's why. That's why I thought it would be interesting to talk about that more, especially since. But anyway, you had to give it up though since you came here.
Yeah, I did. Actually, that was like the huge part of my college decision. It was either I was gonna go to Loyola, Maryland and keep dancing, or I was gonna play collegiate soccer and lacrosse and come here. And I got injured like a lot when I was dancing. I had to have surgery on my ankle my senior year. And it was just kind of getting to the point where my body couldn't like dance anymore, but I could still play sports. So that's kind of what pushed me to my decision, and also like wanting the Catholic community. But it was really hard having to give that up. I still miss it a lot.
So is Loyola Maryland considered like a good?
They're really good at dance, yeah. And one of my close friends from dance went there, so I like would have trained with her, and we would have like kept competing. But yeah, that was like my second choice, but Franciscan was the first. So.
What was ultimately like the biggest thing?
I actually got really good advice from my friend, and she was like, when you're like making your college decision, it's the one that you keep like comparing all the schools to. And like I applied to like 7 different schools, and I feel like all the time I'd be like, okay, well this school has this, but Franciscan has this, and Franciscan has this, and I was just always going back to Franciscan. I was like, yeah, I'm comparing everything to this school, and that's kind of how I knew. I was like, I know I want to come here, and I was kind of in denial a little bit because I was really scared to go to like a private school. I'd never done that before, and I really didn't know anyone coming here. It's not like family came here, so it was like a big leap of faith.
Yeah, like you didn't know anyone coming into it at all?
I knew a few people from that camp that I mentioned, but my closest friend was in Austria the semester crazy. I was going to come. So like I wasn't even going to have her. I was going to have to like make my own friends and everything.
That's crazy. Just because like knowing you would have thought that like you had like so many connections going to the school.
Yeah.
And I mean, it seems like you did really well for yourself. At this.
Yeah.
You know, I was just saying like how, just like seeing you and your friend group, it seems like you guys have like a really, like it seems like you guys kind of lucked out a little bit.
Yeah, I
say that to Julia a lot too.
Yeah, I feel so grateful for my friends. Like, I think we're gonna be friends for life, and they all pushed me to be a better woman, a better Catholic, and like, they really taught me what like authentic friendship is. That's like filled with virtue, and I think getting to have friends here that have like that faith, the shared faith, is something so unique. Especially growing up in a secular environment. I love my friends at home, but it's like a little different when you have that like shared belief.
Yeah, because you never, like, have you had that before you?
Not really, no. Other than when I went to like camp over the summer, those are my only Catholic friends. So.
I see.
Yeah.
Like looking back on, because you're a junior now. Like, looking back on freshman year, like what was that kind of like initially, and then how did it flow? Like.
Initially, it was tough. Like soccer preseason was a lot. I was getting used to like being away from home and all these new people. And I think at first it was like hard transitioning here because I thought like my faith wasn't the same as everyone else. Like everyone seemed so holy. But actually like the Lord encountered me in that and showed me that like I was exactly where I needed to be. And then I like made a bunch of friends. It was hard at first because it felt like my whole life was my sport. But then eventually I started getting involved, and I like got involved with household in my freshman spring. I intended to Stella Marie household, and that like showed me a whole new side of campus because you got to meet like girls all different grades, and they just loved me so well. But also like all of the upperclassmen on my sports team, like that was really nice coming into school because it just made you feel more at home. I think it's easy for freshmen to be like, oh gosh, all the older kids, they're so scary. But when you're like teammates with them, they love you really well. Yeah,
what was that like mentorship like? Like, did you have a lot of people that really...
Yeah, I like credit so much of who I am to like those girls who poured into me. I'm like way different than I was freshman year. Especially my lacrosse teammates, they were just like really great women who knew who they were and were really good at like affirming me in who I am. And they were just friends with me, and like we would just hang out. And I think my freshman year we did really well in lacrosse. We went to the semifinals, and it was really just because we loved each other so well. And like the lacrosse team has this like community and this just overall love for each other. Like I really feel like they were my sisters. And doing like competitive athletics all growing up, it was never like that. It was always this like kind of like competition between each other, and like you secretly hate the girl on your team because you're competing for her spot. But this was like, this was like the first time I've ever been on a sports team where like people were genuinely happy for you and rooting for you.
But even like the teams that you played on before where it was like,
like it was always kind of like toxic. I feel like that's kind of a universal experience, especially in female athletics. Like girls usually like are really nice to your face, but sometimes they're just not behind your back. So that was really refreshing, like coming here and being like, wait, like they actually are rooting for me. And like getting to play my sport for God was like a whole new thing. In freshman year, I did not understand it. Like everyone would always say it, and I'd just be like, okay, like we're playing for God. What does that mean? But actually this past fall, it like finally clicked for me, just like learning a lot. But
yeah, what would you say that means to you?
I think it's sort of like knowing that my gift from the Lord is like my athleticism and my ability to play my sport. And in using that gift, I can like glorify him. So long as I'm always like pointing outward and being like, no, like I am good at this, but that's because God made me that way. Then like being good, and like it makes me work harder because I'm like, oh, I want to do this for him.
Yeah.
And it also like takes you outside of yourself. So when you mess up or like, oh shoot, I didn't score that goal, it's like, okay, well that's okay because I'm doing this for my teammates and I'm doing this for him, and like he's never disappointed in me. So it's like a complete mindset switch.
That's like such a beautiful way of looking at it, and like especially the team aspect. And you were saying, I definitely can see that. I haven't done a team at this school, but I feel like on the outside, I can see that it's clearly different than what like teams were like back in high school and stuff.
Yeah, I think it gives us like a leg up against all of like the teams in the pack, because even if they're more talented than us, like we like know who we're playing for. And I've experienced in lacrosse, like we've played girls who are better than us and we still beat them, because a lot of times you fall apart, you start blaming each other. But especially our coach, she's it's her first year, Coach Molly, and she's really good.
Yeah, I met her.
Yeah, she's awesome. She's really good at just like reminding us, like, no, like stop focusing on yourself. Like think about the girl next to you, and it literally changes the whole game. Like it makes mistakes feel less bad, and like you just are ready for the next play and ready to get it back.
Yeah, ironically, that's kind of like an analogy for life too.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
I will also say that kind of reminds me of the verse where they would say like the glory of God is man fully alive. It's like the big Austria thing.
Yes.
They say that in Austria.
Yes.
That kind of like reminds me a little bit of what you were saying, like about like using your gifts to glorify the Lord. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, so you're talking about lacrosse, but you also did soccer freshman year, and then that you didn't.
Yeah, I ended up.
Maybe.
Yeah, when I came here, I kind of knew I was only going to end up playing one, but I was so unsure. I didn't know which one to do. And both of the coaches were like, just do both, and then you can pick one.
How do you have like an inclination for every sport? Like,
I don't know. I just love it all.
Like there wasn't one, besides Irish dance, of course, but there wasn't like one that you like excelled in more than others?
Yeah, so honestly, it was hard because soccer I played my whole life, but I was better at lacrosse. So soccer, I think I was kind of holding on to as like a sentimental thing. Like I just loved it, but I was better at lacrosse, and that's kind of why I ended up picking it. I started lacrosse later, like not till middle school, and our program was really bad where I was from. Like a lot of girls in our area do go D1 and they're like really talented and play club, but our program was like not like that. So I didn't actually get good at lacrosse till my senior year of high school. So then the thought of even playing in college was like, oh gosh, I'm not good enough for that. But actually, like, once I came here, I became way better. And so yeah, but then it was time to decide like when to go to Austria. I had to pick a semester, and I had to miss one. And my best friend, Abby, was going for nursing her sophomore fall. And I was like, I'll just go in the fall. I'll miss a soccer season because I did better in the lacrosse season. I played more, and I like did pretty well for a freshman. And then after Austria, I was kind of like, I'm just going to stick with lacrosse. It's like too much doing both.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. But then I got to ask, how was your Austria experience?
Austria was incredible. I went as a sophomore, like I said, so a lot of the kids that came with me were juniors. But I became close to like everyone there. That's like everyone's experience because there's only like 200 of you. But Austria was like, it was very much a time when I like found out who I really like was as a person and who I wanted to be. And like when you're just thrown in Europe and you have to travel, like you figure out how to be an adult. But just getting to travel the world with your friends, that is like unlike anything else.
Yeah, I think about it still.
I know. I was literally talking to my friends about it this morning. I was like, remember when we just like traveled a bunch of different countries and like slept in train stations and airports?
Did you sleep in train stations?
I never slept overnight in a train station, but I did sleep overnight in the airport a few times.
Yeah, the sleeping in the airports thing is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I definitely have like stories for my kids, my future kids, to tell them from Austria. But even just like the community at the Kartauza is so beautiful, and like I just loved going to mass there and all of the sisters and the friars over there. It was just like a family, super homey, and it's just beautiful. Like I wish I could live in Gaming, like the mountains.
I just found it to be like, maybe you had this experience, but like the pace of life was just so much.
Yes.
It's much more slow and methodical and much more conducive for prayer. I think that's the right way to say that.
Yeah, I definitely
Did you
agree.
experience that at all?
I think so. And it was my first time not playing a sport. So I had like,
your life.
Yeah, I had so much time on my hands. And like I did intramurals, but those were just so fun and at the end of the day. But actually, like, contrary to most people, I had like my best GPA when I was in Austria. Like I did great in all my classes. Actually. Yeah, because you're like, oh my gosh, I have so much time to learn. And also like the classes I took over there, like I just learned so much about theology and philosophy, especially because I'd never learned that stuff before.
Do you like that stuff?
Yeah, it fascinates me.
I'm a humanities major, so that's like right up my alley.
Yeah.
But I was kind of curious because like some kids would be like, I don't know this stuff, or like art. I don't know if like you care about art or anything like that.
Yeah.
But that was did you take the Friedrich's art class?
I didn't. I took visual arts in the Catholic Imagination, so that one was more like art history. But yeah, I always loved the arts growing up. I did like music all growing up, so that was more of my.
I forgot you mentioned that too.
That was more of my specialty than like painting or anything. But I love music.
You ever heard the term Renaissance man?
Yeah.
Or Renaissance woman?
Yeah.
It's low key.
Yeah.
Kind of what you are.
Yeah.
In a way.
Mm-hmm.
But,
yeah, Austria was just
so
like
much.
reminiscing. I wish I could go back. I actually got to visit this past Thanksgiving.
Oh, wait, yeah, I did. I don't know if I said hi to you, actually.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing you there.
Yeah, because like my whole friend group went this past fall. So we like surprised them, planned a whole secret trip.
That's
and
right.
like we just showed up on the bus and they all freaked out. So that was really fun to get to go back there. But
yeah, did you guys travel anywhere together?
We only went to Vienna as a group because it was like just a weekend trip, and then we went back home. But we just like stayed in the Kartauser, which was so worth it. Like I forgot how much I loved it there, and now I'm like so grateful I got to go back.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Well, Austria's amazing. Mm-hmm. Glad that you had that.
Yeah, me too.
And got to go back, which is cool.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to ask, so you're the captain of the lacrosse team, and as well as you're the coordinator of Stella, which I actually didn't really realize until recently, which is kind of interesting because you're not even a senior.
Yeah.
Is that common?
Not super common. I don't think in the past, my whole time being here, the coordinator's always been a senior. It was actually interesting when they nominated me. I had just gotten back from Austria.
Is that how that works?
Yeah,
Like
we do like nominations and then you like run. So yeah, I kind of went into that meeting not even knowing it was nomination day. So like I had no idea what was going on. And it was only my first semester actually being in household because I like got in and then I left and then I came back. And they like nominated me, and it was funny because literally like 2 days before, it was about to be Lent, and I was praying for an increase in universal mortification, which is one of the 10 Marian virtues. And I was like, I know I need to grow in this, but like give me a tangible thing. Like I'm a person who does things, and I was like, God, give me something I can like do to like die to myself. And
yeah, what does universal mortification mean?
It's sort of just like, so there's like 10 Marian virtues that are all modeled after the way Mary lived her life. And it's sort of just like how she denied herself and like just said yes to the Lord and like let God use her however you wanted. But it's also like saying no to the world and like worldly things, and just like always thinking about what's above. So it's a lot about like humility goes into it. That's another one, is profound humility. But universal mortification is kind of just like dying to yourself and like putting others in front of yourself, which I think is really what it means to be coordinator. It's like being a servant leader. Yeah, anyways, then like 2 days later they nominated me, and I had not even like, I was shocked. I was really like, me? Like, what the heck? I'm just a junior, or I was a sophomore at the time. But I like think my like best gift I have is my leadership. I've like always known that, and I did like all leadership roles in high school. I like was class president and led a bunch of clubs. So even when I joined Stella, I like told them like, yeah, like what I'm good at is leading. So when they said that, I was like, this is like a perfect way for me to give back to the Lord and give to these girls. So I ran, and then they voted me to be coordinator, and I was just like a total act of trust because I wasn't planning on it, but it all kind of worked out because all my friends went to Austria anyway. And so me and my friend Abby, who went together sophomore year, lived together in the fall. And then one of my friends who came back lives with me now. So like the Lord provided me someone to live with on wing, because like usually people move to the Heights. But yeah, being coordinator has been so fulfilling. It's like, I don't know, a lot of people stress about it, but for me, it's just been an like amazing experience to like fully give back. And I think I gained so much from my household. So like getting to give to like all of the new intents and all of the girls who are in is really cool.
Yeah, and I'm so interested in what you're saying about the leadership though. Like I really want to ask you more about that. Like what does it mean? Like in your mind, what does it mean? Or what does it look like to be a leader? And like have you've always known you've just had this quality? Yeah,
it's just like one of the things I've been gifted with. I think I have a very good ability at like seeing the people in the crowd who kind of go unnoticed. And I think that's like my leadership style, is making sure that everyone knows that they're heard and like everyone knows that they're cared about. And right now our household has like 60 girls in it. So that's like something that's,
I didn't even know you're allowed to have that many.
Yeah, we're at max capacity. We're graduating a lot of people, so that's why we have a lot right now. But it's like just being able to like make sure everyone knows that their voice matters and they're heard, but also like banding people together and like on it, like in all households and in Stella, like our greatest desire is to see each other in heaven. So like it's my job to like bring the girls, like drag them with me to heaven. Like we're all marching there together.
Is that not like an intimidating responsibility? Like most people would be intimidated to have that.
I think it's definitely like, it could be scary, but actually Father Dave kind of at the beginning of the year gave us all coordinators like kind of like spiritual ownership over our households, which was like, at first I was like, oh my gosh, this is a huge responsibility.
Yeah, huge.
But I kind of see a coordinator role as like a spiritual motherhood or a spiritual fatherhood, where like you kind of are like who they look to, and you just have to be able to like be confident enough in your relationship with God. And that's one thing I've always like put an importance on, is like as much as I need to focus on household, like my personal prayer life needs to take the priority. Otherwise I'm not going to be able to lead anyone else.
Yeah.
So I just let God like pour into me, and then I pour out to everyone else. But yeah, I think servant leadership is like the best thing ever. It's basically the idea that like in giving of yourself and like putting others before you, like you can lead them to whatever like you're supposed to be doing. And I actually learned that at the camp I went to, because that's like what they instilled in us when I was like really young. So I kind of credit it to that. That's like where I learned how to do it, and I just kind of kept it with me all throughout.
Yeah, it seems like that camp sort of really made an impact.
Yeah, it did.
It was like the foundation you were saying of your faith.
For sure.
But wow, that's really interesting what you're saying about the leadership stuff. Kind of going back to the universal mortification thing you were saying a little bit. Like I imagine that sort of plays in a little bit to what you were saying.
Yeah, definitely.
About the leadership.
Yeah, it's sort of just like, I think the biggest thing is knowing that like it's not about you, and it's about the people that you're in charge of or leading. And that takes off so much stress, because the second you like realize like, oh, this isn't like up to me, or like it really doesn't matter what I think, it's what's best for everyone else, then it's like no pressure, because it's like, this is outside of myself. And just like, I think one thing that I found very beautiful in my time at Franciscan, I've had this happen like several times, is like the whole idea of like Jesus washing his disciples' feet is like getting low before your sisters, and doing something so intimate like that, like that's how we should be living, and like caring for each other. And I think that's like, as coordinator, like Jesus led all of his disciples, but he still like knelt before them and like washed their feet and kissed them. And that's like kind of my vision of like how to serve the girls in my lacrosse team too. But
yeah, because that's similar, because you're the captain as well.
Yeah.
What would you say you feel like you have more of a responsibility toward? Or maybe that's like an unfair question to ask, but like at least spiritually. I know like household is largely based on that, and maybe the team is less so watched, even though it is.
Yeah, I think in household I have like more responsibility, because it's like just me, and then I have an assistant coordinator. On the lacrosse team I have 2 other captains, and they're both seniors, Carolyn and Teresa. They are like so huge in my life. They really formed me as well, and I think it's nice having them being like the older captains and I'm like the junior one, because I can always rely on them, and we're very much like a team. And Teresa was captain last year as well, so I think she has like a lot of great experience. I think I'm with the lacrosse team way more, but So like I spend more time with those girls and forming them. But actually our team is completely new this year. We only have 3 returners. It's just the 3 of us.
Oh wow, really?
And everyone else is a first-time player. So that whole...
How many members are on the team?
We have 13 girls right now, so we're pretty small. It's kind of like a rebuilding year. But our coach has been recruiting a lot of girls for next year, and I think our program is going to be very, very good. She was like a D1 lacrosse player, has coached very high level, and she's already like transformed our team. We have girls who've never played before that are making like honorable mention in the pack like this past week. So I'm just so excited to see what she does with the program.
Exciting.
But yeah, I don't know if one's over the other. I'm like constantly
I know.
thinking
Maybe
about
that's
both.
that is a little bit of an unfair question to ask.
Yeah, I know, it's okay.
But I gotta watch more lacrosse this season.
It's really fun.
Is it the same size field as a soccer field?
It's like a little bit smaller, but yeah. And then the men's field is even smaller than ours. But it's actually interesting. Men's lacrosse and women's lacrosse are like completely different games. Yeah, they have like helmets and pads, and all we wear is goggles because they can like actually like check and like do a lot of like body contact. They kind of like whack each other.
Oh, is there less of that?
Yeah, ours is like a lot of just like stick on your body. We can't like hit each other with our sticks. And our pockets are smaller in our sticks, so it's a lot more like cradling and finesse. But it is just as intense. Like I have bruises all down my arm, and it's definitely a contact sport, but they're very like unique and interesting.
I see. Okay, I want to go over the list of questions your friends made.
Okay.
But I do have one last question about leadership because I was kind of interested.
Yeah.
Like in your mind, when you view leadership, like do you see it as something that we're all called to do, like in a way, and like maybe everyone's like in a different way?
Yeah.
But have you thought about that?
Yeah, I've never like thought about it, but I think I'd say yes. I think one thing I think about a lot is like the gifts that we're given and how like you can use them to shine Christ's light. Like everyone is different, so someone's way of leading is going to be different than the way I lead. But like I think at one point or another, you're all put into a position to lead, like especially in your vocation, like whether you're leading a family in like a marriage, like if you're a married life, or if you're like a priest or a religious sister or a lay person, like there's always one of the friars here, our spiritual, or our friar for our lacrosse team, Father Dom, he told us like there's periods of your life that you're poured into and there's periods that you pour out. And he was kind of telling us as captains, like, this is your time to pour out. Like, you got the past 2 years, all the girls pouring into you. But now there's girls coming in that are younger than you. So, like, now you're an upperclassman. And it's kind of like how life goes. Like, when you're the new person at your job, you're not going to be, like, leading everyone. But as you, like, get older, then it's like, oh, I'm the boss now. And, like, I have mentors.
Do you like that transition?
I think it's, like...
It's hard.
Yeah, I'm the youngest, so, like, I like being the lower side of things. Even though I love to lead. I like being the youngest in the group. It's fun. It's less responsibility, but I think this year, like, it was a weird transition, especially with all of my old teammates graduating. But I think there's a lot of, like, fruit that comes with, like, giving of yourself. Like, the Lord will always give back to you tenfold. So, yeah.
I agree. Even though I will say, like, sometimes I'm like, man, I miss having like a mentor.
I know.
It's tough being like the oldest.
Like, it is. Like I felt that in high school too. As I got like older and older, and then I was like the oldest on the team, and I was like, shoot, there's no one to look up to right now. It's just me.
Yeah, I'll never take it for granted.
Yeah.
So your friends were kind enough to sort of like give us some questions.
Okay, I'm really excited to hear these.
Some of them are kind of funny.
Okay.
So they mentioned something about like this like tilt arcade thing. Oh. What does that mean?
Okay, so this is a great story. So for spring break, we have to like stay on campus for the lacrosse team. And my freshman year, we were like trying to come up with fun things to do, and our coach brought us to this like place in the mall called Tilt. I don't even know where we were. It was not Robinson. I don't know where we were. It was like the middle of nowhere. And it was like laser tag, but also there was like arcade games. And we had like this most epic laser tag game ever. And like the team my freshman year was just like iconic. Like I love all those girls. They are actually hilarious. And we had like mini mics, and we were like all mic'd up, like running around the laser tag, like shooting each other, like rolling on the ground. And there's just some really funny interviews that we always like look back on. And I think the whole team, like, our favorite memory was Tilt. There was, like, a weird, like, indoor roller coaster that we all rode, like, for kids,
that
basically.
Cool. I kind of want to go to this place.
Yeah,
I'll
send it to you. It was not that far, maybe, like, 30 minutes, but...
I kind of want to go here.
Yeah,
but wait,
it was
so
really
you were
fun.
mic'd up. Wait, why were you mic'd up?
We just, like, had the mini mics for the team, and we just thought it would be funny to, like, do interviews. Because it's, like, spring break. We're not in school, and we're, like, on campus. So we just, like, made it fun. Also, that break, we did something really cool. We did glow-in-the-dark lacrosse.
Does the team have to stay back for spring break?
Yeah, we have, like, games in practice, so.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But we, like, did the mics at, like, glow-in-the-dark lacrosse, too. Like, it was literally nighttime, and we, like, covered our bodies with glow sticks and our sticks. And those videos are so funny, too. And, like, just doing interviews, yeah.
Yeah, that sounds pretty sweet. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
I gotta go to this Tilt thing.
Yeah.
Is Assassin one of the games? Because they said something about...
Oh, yes. So, also, the other thing we did on spring break is us and the men's team, the men's lacrosse team.
Oh, yeah, that's what...
We played Assassin, and so we all had, like, water guns, and, like, we all had, like, assigned targets, and literally it got wild. Like, people were trapping each other in our like, heights, and, like, we had to go to practice, so we had to, like, escape, and there was one time, like, someone was in a moving car and, like, almost ran over someone's foot because they were trying to get them out.
No way.
But Assassin has always been really fun. I played Senior Assassin in high school.
Yeah.
And I was the runner-up, unfortunately, but that was really fun. Yeah.
Do you guys do that every year, the Assassin thing?
We've done it the past 2 years. Hopefully we'll do it. Or actually, I don't think we did it last year because we both went. We went to Florida, and I think the men's team went to, like, North Carolina or somewhere else. They might have gone to Florida too. I'm not sure. But when we're both on campus, we both, we'll play some water tag.
That sounds
Assassin.
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie.
It is fun.
Okay, wait. So apparently, there's a play on the team that was named after you. We were kind of talking about you with names a little bit earlier.
Yes.
You were helping us name the show.
So this is kind of embarrassing. So my freshman year, they, like, all saw me as, like, super young because we had some grad students on the team, and there was only 2 freshmen. And they loved my vocabulary, and they said I was very Gen Z. So I would say slay all the time, and they ended up naming a play Slay. So that was just ridiculous because we'd be in a game, like, screaming slay on the field, and it was just so funny. And I don't know, I just loved saying it, so I would nickname literally.
Still run that play?
Yeah, I would run it. It would be fun. I don't even remember what it was, but we would just, like, all of the people on the team, I just call them by their first name and then add slay to the end of it. So
really?
it caught on. And
that is the Gen Z.
Yeah, the Gen Z in me.
The other day, my dad, like, sent us in our family group chat. It's a little bit of a tangent, but he, like, sent us this thing from Facebook, and it was like modern Gen Z words and what they mean. It was like skibbity rid, like all this stuff.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's kind of cringy, but I don't know. I think it's funny. So.
No, I agree. I think it's kind of exciting that we have, like, such a lingo. I don't know if other generations have had such a, like, set lingo.
We have so many words.
Even though if it's a little brain rot.
Yeah.
Which is another one of the lingos. Okay, wait. So there's another one. So actually it's going back to the Irish dance thing.
Okay.
And apparently that you have shared your Irish dance skills.
Oh, with the team.
with the lacrosse team or inside?
Yeah, with the lacrosse team. I've danced for, like, basically everyone who makes me. They'll always just, like, put on music and be like, dance, and I'm like, okay, fine.
Dang.
Yeah, so my St. Patrick's Day is usually in lacrosse season, so the past 2 years, our coach has always, like, asked me to teach them how to dance. So I, like, lined up all the girls, and I taught them how to do, like, a beginner jig. And I've also, like, danced in the locker room, performed for all them. But they actually did pretty good.
They did.
Not the best, but they were good enough.
You got the right music?
Yeah, I played the music for them. It was actually really funny. It was like they were lined up to do sprints, but then they all just started dancing.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kiera, this was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Do you have, is there anything else you would like to say? Any, like, message maybe that you have?
Any message?
Any words of wisdom?
My words of wisdom. I just say, do whatever inspires you, and, like, if you want to do something, then just try it. Like, I'm all for trying new things and, like, being involved. So do things that scare you. Don't care what other people think about you, because all that matters is what God thinks about you. And just love other people well. Love people like Christ would.
I'd say that's a excellent motto. Would you say you lived your life?
I think so.
Along those lines? That's awesome.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Yeah.
Very interesting life. And Yeah, thank you for coming on the show.
Yeah, thanks, Connor.
And tune in next episode on Behind the Baron.